الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Allah Azza wa Jal commands us to save ourselves and our families from a fire. And the fire is such that it's ignited using human beings and stones. So the imperative is to save ourselves from this fire, and at the same time save our families. The process is simultaneous. So it begs the question, what is it that would lead me? What is it that could lead me to this fire? And the next question is, what is it that could lead my family to this fire? Some things are obvious. The wrong beliefs, dying in a state of disbelief, in a state where one is ascribing partners to Allah. These things are obvious. But these are not the only things that lead a person towards fire. After kufr and shirk, there is a host of things that shaitan uses to pull people towards that place. All of the kaba'ir, all of those things that have been identified as major sins. And one of the definitions of a major sin, even though there is more than one definition, one of the definitions is all those sins for which the warning of Jahannam has been given. And similarly, all of those things for which, regarding which Rasulullah ﷺ has mentioned the word curse. Those are all kabair. These are some of the definitions of kabair. So it's important to identify those elements and make sure that they don't exist in our lives and they don't exist in the lives of our family members, because we are responsible for saving our family members from this fire of Jahannam. So it does not mean that all of a sudden we start giving the same warnings that Allah is giving, that Rasulullah ﷺ is giving. The ultimate goal is to take people away from that fire. So the first thing that a person has to do is think, what is it that's going to get them out of that deed, that habit, that practice, that belief, whatever it is. So thinking is required. And this is where the difference between talking to someone and reminding them about Allah versus just announcing to them the hukm. Announcing the hukm is different from giving dawah, it's different from advising. When we look at the usloob or the pattern used by the Anbiya alayhi salatu wassalam, for those people who were disbelievers, we find that it's a pattern, it's a method of advising, it's a method of appealing to their sense of logic, to their sense of understanding, appealing to things that they already believe in, and using those types of discussions, those types of reminders to bring people towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Announcing the hukm, just simply saying that this is haram, or simply saying that this is fard, this is basically just telling them a fatwa about that thing, and they may take it from you, they may not take it from you. But the first thing, the most important thing, is to figure out what is it that's going to change this person's behavior. And sometimes you don't even need to tell them that hukm. I'll give you a short story. One Shaykh Saeed Ahmad Khan, rahimahullah, he was a great Shaykh, he used to live in Medina Munawwara. He was in Bombay with a group of brothers, and he sent some brothers to this man who had this little show that he was doing with a monkey. So he would, maybe beat his drum or whatever it was, and the monkey would dance and do tricks, and he would take money from people. So he said, 2 brothers, go and give him da'wat. So these brothers went, they talked to him. They said, brother, look, Allah has given you life, He's given you time and energy and talents, and you're wasting it all on this monkey. And you're using this method of earning, which is not only wasting your time, but wasting the time of people. How will you answer for this on the Day of Judgment? And you should stop this, you should change your life. Come with us, come to the masjid. So that fellow picked up a stick and chased them off. He said, how dare you challenge my livelihood, my trade, my business. So when these brothers went back, the Shaykh asked him, okay, so what happened? What transpired? They told him, Shaykh, he chased us off with his stick. He said, okay. And after some time, he sent two other brothers, another pair of brothers. Now these brothers were a little more experienced. So they went and they said to him that, how are you? How is your business going? And so on and so forth. He said, yeah, it's okay, this and that. He said, so, what does your monkey do? He says, oh, I've trained him to do a lot of things. He does this, does this, does this. They said, okay, so can we watch a show? Is it possible? And he sees these guys dressed like this with beards and long thobes, and he says, these guys, he said, yeah, we'd love to see a show. So they paid and they watched the show, and they said, look, brother, you have a lot of potential here. Have you considered expanding your business? Have you considered, maybe outsourcing and having other people, training monkeys and then having other people run the show? Have you considered this? And he said, no, I've never even thought of that. I said, well, there's many, many opportunities for you. But there's a shaykh here, in the masjid nearby, and he is, he's a really pious person. We can get him to make dua for you. And if he makes dua for you, that's it. You'll be looked after. He said, he'll make dua for me? He said, oh, he makes dua for everyone. He says, okay, let's go. Show me where he is. So in this way, they brought him with them to the masjid. Now the shaykh had a rule that nobody could come and see him until they had sat at the sufra and had something to eat. Even somebody who was just coming to give salam, he would say, no, don't come to give salam unless you go and visit the sufra first. And whatever time of the day it was, if it was time for a meal or it was time for tea or whatever it was, you had to go through that hospitality and then come to him. So, and there may be some amongst you who've seen him, who've seen his sufra in Medina Munawwara. So this person sits down and he sees all this kind of food, and he's pampered and looked after, and all of these religious people are serving him. They're bringing him this, they're bringing him that, they're running around for him, and his impression of deen and the people of deen changed completely. So by the time he met the shaykh, and the shaykh did make dua for him, may Allah guide you, may Allah give you khair of dunya, may Allah give you khair of akhirah. By the time he went through this, he was ready to go out in the path of Allah and change his life. So the actual command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to save ourselves and our families from fire. In other words, do what it's going to take to save them. It's not always about lecturing. It's not always about warning and condemning. It's not always about yelling. It's about treating them in such a way that they're going to make a U-turn. And of course, this takes time. It takes time to learn this. It takes a great deal of experience to learn this. But we all need to be on that path, because all of us have this duty. We all have families and we all have ourselves. Sometimes you have to even be diplomatic with yourself. Sometimes you have to use diplomacy with yourself. If you sometimes tell your nafs that that's it, I'm getting up for Fajr, I'm going, then sometimes it looks too challenging, and the nafs says, oh no, I can't do that. But if you tell your nafs, you know what, let me just sit up and stretch for a little bit, let me just get a glass of water. Yeah, I am thirsty. Oh no, you know what? I should use the washroom anyways. Whether I go to the masjid or not, I should go use the washroom. So like this, sometimes even using diplomacy with yourself, it takes you a long way. Then eventually you say, no, I have time, I'm fresh now, I should go. It will come from inside. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to save ourselves and save our families from that fire that He has told us to. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين.